And one of the ways that we were to use to target was a technique that we learned in 2016 called campaign harvesting. Now, we did not harvest the campaign, but we used the same technique. So, and the company that we used was Cambridge Analytics, a European company. I don't mind pointing them out. They can sue me if they want. I don't care. Bring it. What this company would do, predominantly on Facebook, but other social media posts, they would put out what we call ghost posts. You put out in somebody's private messages a post that looked like a legitimate document of a lie. 3 hours later, it would go away. But you remember reading it somewhere. It was completely false. People would start talking about it. And then communities of those people would start talking about it. And then on social media, they'd be chatting back and forth about it. So that lie that was put out has now become a truth to the people. And that lie was to actually divert you from the truth. That's what it was done for. This is not the first time it's ever been done. Within these techniques, we use trigger words. So trigger words are things that whenever people hear, it triggers them remembering that false truth that they were told. It triggers them into remembering it, so they keep talking about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. Mind account taught us that if you repeat something 3 times, or you have someone repeat something 3 times to someone else, it becomes a truth, no matter how asinine the lie is. So those trigger words were PSYOP. You guys just heard me use that word because it's a common term. Cabal and deep state. Those were the trigger words. Now, does all this exist? Of course it exists. It's not like made up words. We all know it exists. It was just trigger words used in social media to help further manipulate the people. It now became, anytime you said PSYOP, cabal, or deep state, there was a conspiracy attached to it. So you got half the nation believing that this is true, but every time the other half of the nation heard these words, no matter what you said afterwards, it was automatically a conspiracy, and you were a right-wing nut job or a far right-wing nut job, and there was absolutely no reason to believe it. Now, a lot of the stuff that was put out there is a lie. It was made up. But still, it caused that division within the nation. It divided us further, which was intentional. And this is one of the many operations that were done in the last 5 to 6 years to further divide the nation. That's why we are more divided than we have ever been. Because of my experience, I don't like either party. Both parties are exactly the same, and all of our elected officials are corrupt. That's just my experience. I mean, that's what I've seen. That's what I witnessed. That was my livelihood. So this is things that I know. We've all heard, united we stand, divided we fall. It's very true. There was other falsehoods that we were supposed to put out. We were supposed to manipulate numbers for both parties, not just for one. So don't think that it was for one party or another. This was for both parties. If you look right now, 47% of the entire nation is independent. 27% is Republican, and 27% is Democrat. Now, I know that don't add up to 100 because there's some small percentages of other things floating around out there. That's why it doesn't add up to 100. Now, what we were to do was to completely silence the independents, wipe their voice completely off the map. It was almost impossible to control or manipulate the mindset of an independent. So out of this 27% Republicans, they make you believe that 52% support Donald Trump. When people hear that, they think 52% of 100%, which is the majority, and blah, blah, blah. But that's not the case. It's 52% of 27%, which is a small fraction of the nation. If this part of a Democrat loyalist is listening, I promise you I'm going to get to your side. Don't click off the video. The real numbers are 52% of the 27% follow Donald Trump, consider themselves as MAGA. When we get to it, we're going to find out that MAGA was manipulated from this. That's fake too. That leaves a remainder of 48% of Republicans. So what are you supposed to do with that 48%? You put them over here with the independents and you silence them. You got to get rid of them. They cannot get their voice out there no matter what. Now with Joe Biden, it's something like 41% of Democrats. It's either 41 or 43. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but it's one of the two. It's 41% or 43% of Democrats support Joe Biden. The remainder of that 27% does not support Joe Biden. They want somebody else. They don't like him. I understand why. So what are you supposed to do with that remainder? You got to silence them. You only give the voice to these, and you eliminate the masses because the masses are powerful. This is why we're so divided. And I promise you, I'm going to get back to the QAnon thing. It has a lot to do with it. These two ultra minority groups, not all MAGA is QAnon either. So I want to make that. But these are MAGA or Q. These over here are like the Antifa. They don't really have a clan to stick to, but I'm going to just say Antifa. That's that mindset. So it's two separate mindsets. So it's the ultra minority from these two parties completely eliminating everybody else. We're giving them all the voices. But these voices of these people, of these minorities, have been manipulated. And the reason why they've been manipulated was intentionally because of operations like this. See, our government, our politicians do not need the majority to rule. They need a loud minority. And they need to cause such a distance between the two, which is why we say far right and far left. And they have to manipulate one more than the other, which they have manipulated this side more than that side, so that they'll constantly argue with one another. And these will say, no, I know the truth. And these will say, no, I know the truth. These will say, my guy's better. These will say, no, my guy's better, even though neither guy's any good. It also makes it to where the rest of us are just sitting here going, well, we got to vote for what we think the lesser of the two evils are. Well, folks, when you vote for the lesser of two evils, you get crap like this. They hire people like the person I used to be. You're not in control.
So it sounds like they're taking all of the middle, all of the sane options that we would have vote for, and they're really just denying us those options.
Yeah, they're just wiping them out. They're just wiping their voices out. That's why operations like QAnon are created, to keep the establishment in power and keep the people fighting. If we're too busy fighting one another, we're not really paying attention to what they're doing. If this side wasn't fighting this side, and we were communicating with one another, we would know this was a lie. And they would know that that was a lie. You take both sides. You take the far left and the far right. And then listen, it was done to the far left too. I'm just talking about this one particular thing. And it's the same techniques and everything, just use different lingo and different things, you know. It's done intentionally. One of the things that's hard for people to understand, we've all heard we're going down the rabbit hole, right? Stay away from rabbit holes. Stay away from them, because it was people like me, like what I used to be, that intentionally set those rabbits out and had already had pre-dug rabbit holes. And in that pre-dug rabbit hole, we would put a truth, which looked legit, but it was a complete lie to fit the narrative of either this side or that side. So they could say, we found evidence, we found truth, we're right, you're wrong. Man, this is hard for me to say. That's why we were ordered to target Christians and to target their faith, to make them believe, to manipulate them into thinking that they would have a savior here on earth that were suffering the same way that they are suffering, that was like them, but was standing up and fighting for them. That was our orders. And that administration that passed our orders down, it came straight from the top, and he was to be that savior. Wow. And that's hard for people to hear, but that's how it works. But I also want you to understand he was not the first. This is not the first time. It's the establishment. The establishment does this. There is not going to be some billionaire savior or some politician that's been in politician for 40 years that doesn't even know where he's at half the time. They are not going to save you.
Right.
We are our own saviors. Only we can save us, and only we can save this nation. And we've got to quit falling for everything they put out there just because it's fun. I call it political theater. It's drama.
Well,
and people are attracted to that.
Because we don't really understand the power that we have.
Yeah, we don't understand the power that we have. We are in control. That's why we were targeted. We are the masses. We are the majority. We will continue being targeted. But we have to understand that we as a nation are all brothers and sisters, no matter your political beliefs, no matter your religious beliefs. And If you want to stop all these three-letter agencies, if you want to stop nonsense like this right here coming out, if you want to stop all the killings, if you want to stop all that, and you want to stop all the hate, you cannot think for a second that you can get that by electing someone that is spewing the nonsense and the hate. They're just using fear tactics. The reason why these things are created, the reason why independent contractors exist for all the three-letter agencies is because they are terrified of we the people. They are scared of us. We hold all the power. We just have to quit letting them play us. And the people who move up high in the food chain, so to speak, are the yes men and women. They are the betas. They will not stand up to their superior officers or their leadership or to the administrations because they're weak. And that's how they get to that point. That's one of the many reasons why we're in the position of where we're at. Not only that, a lot of them just lack in intelligence, period. Two of the greatest men that I know, I mean, really phenomenal individuals, work for one of those three agencies there. All they're doing is just trying to fight and steer things in the right direction. But there's not many of them left. And they'll never move up. They'll stay where they're at. They're always questioning authority. They'll say, no, we shouldn't do that. No, that's not right. You know, they question things. So they'll never move up in the ranks, and they should be at the top. Great human beings. And if my plans work out right to eliminate all this stuff and to bring the people together, I will personally put them at the top because that's where they need to be.
Look, I've worked in 6 different agencies, maybe 7, depending on how you slice it, whenever they changed hands and changed names. But yeah, I know a lot of good people, patriots in the intelligence community, in the diplomatic community. And the ones that, and it does get very, very political. The higher you get, it's a political rank structure. And unless you're on board with this, I hate to use the word cabal now after you wrote it out that way, but this global criminal syndicate that is really out for one world government, a global Marxist model. If you're not on board with that agenda and you're not willing to betray the American people to get there, you're only going to go so far. It's heartbreaking and it's very upsetting to understand that that's how our system is set up. It's literally set up against us now.
What we need to see is also things like this is what give us the president that we got now. So that's what people don't understand. It's that division. It allows the establishment to choose. When we start believing these false truths, basically destroying our own lives and our country by believing false truths, it just gives them more power and more power and more power to where ultimately we're going to become a dictatorship. I mean, that's what every leader in look, I work for Obama and I work for Trump. They both wanted to be dictators. This right here is probably where a bunch of people is going to get pissed off. We were ordered to make Trump seem like the savior for the Christians. It was Trump that gave us these orders to create this nonsense. Completely up to you if you want to believe me or not. Just think about it. Cut off your political loyalist brain, your party loyalist brain, just for a second, and think about it. Think about all the division that has been created in the country. Think about it. We're being played. As I said, I worked for the Obama administration as well. I worked under the Obama administration, not directly for, but as a contractor under the Obama administration. Trump was supposed to be president, not Hillary Clinton. And I know that's really hard for people to get their mind wrapped around. They needed a puppet with an egotistical mindset, which hopefully we can all agree that he has that. That all they had to come to and say, look, it's bad, but we can make you the greatest president, because that's all he wanted. That's why he wanted all this done. He wanted to go down in history as the greatest president ever. You never could say to the man that you'll be doing the American people a great justice. You always had to say you're doing yourself a great justice. I'm not here to bash Trump. I'm just here to tell the truth and administration and the establishment, because they're all the same.